Armin Meiwes, the Rotenburg Cannibal. Armin Meiwes, a name synonymous with unspeakable acts, his notoriety stems from the murder and cannibalism of Bernd Brandes, a crime that shocked the world. What makes this case particularly disturbing is Brandes' willing participation in his own demise. The two men met online, drawn together by dark desires. Their encounter culminated in an act of cannibalism, preceded by a failed attempt to consume Brandes' penis. Meiwes would forever be known by his chilling nicknames, the Rotenburg Cannibal and the Master Butcher. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Born in Essen on December 1, 1961, Armin Meiwes' early life was marked by familial instability. He was the third child of Waltraud Meiwes and Gustav, having two older half-brothers. The separation of his parents in 1969 set the stage for a troubled upbringing. Meiwes' academic path was unremarkable. He dropped out of Hauptschule and failed to complete commercial training. In 1980, he moved with his mother to Woestefeld, to a 44-room estate the family had owned since 1966. His relationship with his mother, Waltraud, was particularly formative. She exerted a domineering influence over him, fostering dependence and harboring misandrous views. This unhealthy dynamic would profoundly shape Meiwes' psychological development. Waltraud's control extended to all aspects of his life. She accompanied him on dates and work trips, humiliating him in front of friends. She even falsely accused a female acquaintance of murder. The door to his room remained adorned with the words, "children's bedroom," until he was 20 years old. Waltraud's failed marriages further contributed to the family's instability. Her ex-husband cited mental cruelty as the reason for their divorces. The father of her second child died by suicide in a gas explosion. Meiwes described himself as being closer to his father growing up, finding his mother eccentric. Meiwes served in the German army from 1981 to 1993. He was stationed at the Alheimer Barracks and rose to the rank of non-commissioned officer. After his military service, he pursued a career in IT. He worked as an IT specialist for a bank in Kassel. He had originally planned to run a computer teaching school with his brothers. His professional life appeared stable, masking the darkness within. In his small community, Meiwes presented a polite and well-kept appearance. He regularly attended and helped to organize events. Trusted with children, he often babysat for his neighbors. Despite this outward normalcy, Meiwes struggled with his personal life. Two relationships with local women failed after he disclosed his bisexuality and his darker sexual preferences. These rejections likely fueled his growing isolation. Meiwes' cannibalistic desires developed during adolescence. He attributed their origin to the home slaughtering of animals. The fairy tale Hansel and Gretel and a film adaptation of the novel Robinson Crusoe also played a role. He felt very lonesome after the family had fallen apart. To cope with his loneliness, he created an imaginary little brother named Frankie. He developed sexual fantasies about Frankie. These fantasies escalated over time. They evolved into detailed visions of consuming another person. Evisceration and slaughterhouse imagery dominated his thoughts. The death of his mother on September 2, 1999, intensified his obsession. Meiwes identified as bisexual, further complicating his understanding of his desires. He became consumed by his dark fantasies. He obsessively watched TV documentaries about the Vietnam War. He devoured literature about cannibalistic serial killers. He also consumed amateur fetish videos. Online, Meiwes found a community that mirrored his disturbing interests. He frequented online forums centered around cannibal fetishism since at least 1998. Using the alias Frankie with the username Antrophagus, he voiced interest primarily in killing, dismembering, and cannibalizing another person. It was in these forums that he met Jörg Bues, a 31-year-old hotel cook from Fusen, going by the username Meatboy. They agreed to meet in real life. Meiwes convinced Bues to 2 slaughter sessions. Bues left early after seeing the slaughter room made in preparation in the attic. Driven by his insatiable desires, Meiwes began searching for a willing victim. He posted online advertisements on the forum Nullo in early 2000. Several people responded to the advertisement but backed out. Bernd Brandes answered an advertisement on February 5, 2001 and agreed to the act. Bernd Brandes was born on January 19, 1958 in Berlin-Schöneberg. He was the only child to a wealthy family. His mother died in a traffic collision during a vacation in Sylt. Brandes excelled in school. He graduated with degrees in control engineering and electrical engineering. He worked for the telephony sector of Siemens. Despite his professional success, Brandes was increasingly unhappy with his life. He experienced interpersonal difficulties. His worsening relations with his father ended with the elder Brandes cutting off contact with his son for coming out in 1990. Between 1987 and 1994, Brandes was engaged to a woman. The couple broke up after Brandes cheated on her with a man during a business trip to the United States. From 1995 to 2000, Brandes lived in Berlin-Tempelhof, engaging in casual sex with dates from gay bars. Online, Brandes found a way to express his darkest desires. He and Meiwes exchanged near-daily emails for a month, discussing their plans and paraphilias in detail. Brandes did not desire to be eaten, but was willing to accommodate Meiwes' cannibal fetish in return for his castration. Before his final meeting with Meiwes, Brandes made preparations. He sold his car and wiped all files from his computers. He took a day off work under the pretense of getting a hair transplant. He placed a handwritten note in a cabinet, leaving all his property to René J. Meiwes and Brandes met at Kassel Wilhelmshöhe station on the evening of March 9, 2001. They drove to Meiwes' house in Lustefeld. There, they would enact their horrifying plan. Meiwes set up video equipment to film the mutilation of Brandes. He prepared 6 knives, a hatchet, and a meat grinder for the act. The scene was meticulously staged for documentation. Meiwes first attempted to bite off Brandes' penis, but failed. He then asked to use a knife instead. Brandes drank a 180 milliliter bottle of alcoholic Vicks Metonate cough syrup. He also consumed at least halfway each a 20-pack of Vivinox sleeping pills and another bottle of cough syrup. Meiwes had difficulty cutting into the flesh, so he used a sharper blade to cut off Brandes' penis. Brandes cried out in pain, but was dismayed that the sensation was not as intense as hoped. The pair then attempted to consume the appendage together. Meiwes fried the penis in a pan with salt, pepper, wine, and garlic. He then chopped the penis up into chunks and fed it to his dog. The act was a grotesque parody of a shared meal. Meiwes then ran Brandes a bath. Brandes lay bleeding in the bath, drifting in and out of consciousness. Meiwes killed Brandes by stabbing him in the throat. He finished the dismemberment and hung the body on a meat hook. The entire incident was recorded on a 4-hour videotape. This tape would later serve as crucial evidence in the trial. It provided a chilling account of the events that transpired. Meiwes dismembered and ate the corpse over the next 10 months. He stored body parts in his freezer under pizza boxes. He consumed up to 20 kilograms, 44 pounds of the flesh. The bones were buried in the ground of the estate. The head of Brandes, initially kept in deep freeze, was also buried 6 months after his death. Meiwes meticulously disposed of the remains. He arranged between 30 to 40 slaughter meetings between 2001 and 2002. Most of the men backed out from more drastic practices suggested by Meiwes. At least 4 men had agreed to be slaughtered. All but one backed out after realizing that Meiwes was serious about his offer. Meiwes again met with Jörg Buss in June 2001. Buss was shaved of his armpit and pubic hair in the same tub Brandes had bled out in. Meiwes consensually tied him up and strung Buss upside down in the slaughter room. The two continued to meet on and off for the following year. The last slaughter meeting took place on July 14, 2002. Meiwes' dark desires continued to drive his actions. He sought to repeat the act with other willing participants. A 23-year-old Austrian university student alerted German authorities to the ads on July 9, 2002. This tip would ultimately lead to Meiwes' arrest. The authorities began to investigate the disturbing online activity. Meiwes was arrested on December 10, 2002. Police recovered body parts in the yard and personal belongings of Brandes. The evidence was irrefutable. 1,742 diskettes, 228 videocassettes, 221 hard drives, 16 PCs, 95 CD-ROMs, and 23 magnetic tapes were confiscated from Meiwes' home. The sheer volume of digital evidence revealed the extent of his obsession. Brandes' funeral was held the following year at a secret location outside of Berlin. Around 430 internet users were found on Meiwes' contact list. Jörg Busse faced legal action on suspicion as an accomplice/conspiracy of murder. Eugen A. was tried for representation of violence. Meiwes was diagnosed with a schizoid personality but deemed mentally fit to stand trial. He was initially convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 8 years and 6 months in prison on January 30, 2004. The sentence was considered lenient by many. The German federal court ordered a retrial on April 22, 2005. The retrial began on January 12, 2006. The focus shifted to the question of whether Meiwes' actions constituted murder. Meiwes was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment on May 10, 2006. He was imprisoned at Justizvollzugsanstalt Kassel II. This sentence reflected the gravity of his crime. It was ruled that Meiwes would not be eligible for parole after 15 years in October 2018. In prison, he is allowed to go outside of prison for supervised excursions in disguise around town in a different state. He works at the laundry and often attends church service. Appeals for early release were denied in November 2017 and August 2020. Meiwes' house became a morbid attraction. It was considered a lost place destination for urban explorers and the true crime fandom. The site drew unwanted attention to the small community. An American investor attempted to buy the property to turn it into a theme hotel in January 2004. This plan was met with widespread condemnation. The idea of profiting from such a horrific crime was deeply offensive. The house burnt down in what was suspected to be an arson attack on the night of April 16 through 17, 2023. 2 juvenile suspects are under investigation. The fire marked a symbolic end to the site's dark history. Rotenburg mayor voiced hope that the fire would stop the flow of true crime tourists from coming into town. Discussions with city officials are ongoing about who would pay to clear the debris in order to prevent looting of Meiwes' house for crime memorabilia. The future of the site remains uncertain.